Welcome to the second episode of the RG MMA Show. This week we are joined by Korean John, a guy that's been in the MMA space for quite some time, from doing media stuff, doing things behind the scenes, and just been around the game for a very, very long time. And we thank him a lot for being here this week with us. And guys, don't forget to please gamble responsibly. That's what we're here for here at the RG Media. And don't forget to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Welcome back to another episode of the RG MMA Show. I'm your host, the fight analyst Garrett Kerman, and with me is my man Korean John. How's it going, my man?
Good, man. Excited to be on the show. You know, I mean, it's been a while since we've done one of these. I think we did something like this like a few years back, but it's cool to get an invite.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it. So it's always fun chopping things up with you. Before we get into the fights last weekend and things moving forward, but why don't you tell a little bit about yourself to the people that may or may not know who you are and what you do here in the MMA space.
Yeah, I worked in MMA media for probably around 10 years or so. At first it was off and on, and then eventually I got, a full-time job, which is very rare. And, I was very fortunate to even be in that position. And then, and then I transitioned to working for a company that does sponsorships and content, still in the fight space. But yeah, just kind of transitioned. And I never thought that, starting MMA media or interviewing fighters or doing podcasts or anything like that would lead me to something like this, a job that I have right now with Cloudbet. But yeah, it's just it's insane. It's insane roller coaster, and it just explains what MMA is. It's just the Wild West, every aspect of it, the fighting, the promotions, the media, everything's crazy. Nothing goes to plan. And that's why, I enjoy it, what I mean? Because nothing goes to plan. And also you probably see me on the broadcast for the UFC as well. I think a lot of people know me from that. I get messages all the time, good and bad, in the DMs, but it's all good. That stuff don't affect me. People think it affects me, but it doesn't affect me. I think it's funny. I think all the stuff is funny.
Yeah, that was about the segue kind of into that, because you are very well known in the MMA space, just purely based on the broadcast, right? We see Korean John almost every fight. We'll see one of your tweets. I'm not sure how that even entails, how you even got the privilege of doing that, but you're not the only one. There's a bunch of others that are kind of in the MMA media space, and how does it feel to be kind of one of the cool kids and kind of get your name out there and on the broadcast?
I don't know. It doesn't, at the end of the day, I tell you, it doesn't really matter if I'm on the broadcast, because, it's just words on a screen. You know what I mean? I try to keep it positive most of the time. And sometimes I just kind of just write shit to write shit, just to see if people get mad. And they put it on the broadcast and people get mad, man. They get really, really angry. People get really emotional about stuff. But it's mostly those people that have blank accounts, you know what I mean? Burner accounts and whatever it is called. They're just angry. But yeah, it doesn't really matter. I always wondered why they would put that, because I've been on the broadcast since the beginning, when they started doing it. And it just continued to this day. Last event, you would see me on the broadcast, right? And then they started introducing threads, and now I'm on threads as well. But I had a meeting with somebody about that is involved in the social media aspect of the UFC and stuff like that. And I had a chat with them, and they explained you're just on a list of vetted people. You know what I mean? They vetted me somehow. I have no idea how they vetted me, but they vetted me, and they realized that I'm a voice in the sport, and that's why they put me on the screen. You know what I mean? I guess that could be an honor for some people, but I just feel it's just fun now. I just do it for fun. To be honest with you, it's just fun. Just to just to like say good stuff about people. Like let's go back to Anthony Smith. Like I wrote something about Anthony Smith, really positive stuff, and then people just shitted on it. Like they really went at Anthony Smith, went at me for saying something nice about a fighter that had like 50 something plus fights. Yeah, it was crazy. It just shows you how toxic like MMA is. So, you know, people get really, really mad about even positive things that you write about fighters or whatnot. You know what I mean? Like the only negative stuff that I will write online would probably be against the commissions because they're just idiots. And a lot of the problems that we have in this sport is because of the commissions. But, you know, people will write really racist and really negative things about people just because you say something positive about a fighter, or maybe they bet on the fight. I don't know, man. I don't think it's necessarily about that. It's all rooted in gambling. I just think that people just love to hate on other people and it makes them feel good.
Yeah, it's very toxic, right? Twitter and well, X is very toxic in the MMA space, and there's not a lot of positivity. It's a lot of negativity, and I don't know where it kind of stemmed from, but it's very hard to just see positivity flow through that app. It's just always just a bunch of negativity one way or the other, and like I feel like a prime example is Bo Nickal, right? You know, he's getting a bunch of flack because he lost a fight. I mean, like, it is fighting. Do you know how hard it is to go undefeated in your entire career, whether it's boxing, kickboxing, doesn't matter, combat sports. You're fighting another grown human being, professional fighter, and they're punching you, kicking you, everything to try to, you know, basically kill you. And they lose a fight, and then everybody's just, you know, fraud check this and that. You were never good. He's done. His career is over. It's like, I don't even get it. No one really said that about someone like Canelo Alvarez. You know, people at the top of the top, but you know, you get all of that, and it's just mind-boggling to me because you lose one fight and your career is over. You're a fraud check. You're this and that. So I wanted to get your take on Bo Nickal. Let's kind of segue into that. You know, get your thoughts on Bo Nickal in his performance, as well as all the negativity that surrounded his loss as well.
Well, I think the hype, right? It's all about the hype, right? Bo Nickal's been hyped. He's this elite wrestler from college that's coming in, has a boxing background. I believe he had been boxing since he was really young. So it's not like he was like a novice fighter. You know what I mean? Like he had some experience fighting. Like wrestling is fighting, boxing is fighting, right? So like he's bringing those two skill sets together, but he's developing that skill set at the highest level. Right? Maybe some of the opponents might not be at the highest level, but he's developing at the highest level in front of crowds, in front of the lights, in front of the pressure, right? So it's not easy for anybody, man. Like, but he kind of ate it up really well, though. You know what I mean? Like let's say he drank the Kool-Aid, and he started to say things in interviews and in on his podcast or whatnot, whatever kind of media that he was doing that made people hate him. Like he was doing things to make people hate him. And one thing that I think that people need to realize is that this is a sport. This is entertainment. Sports and entertainment is like intertwined now. And especially with social media, like this is not the 90s. Not, you know, the 90s, you had Jordan, and what if Jordan has social media? Do you think Jordan would be Jordan? Like you got to think this, you know what I mean? Like he was kind of like shielded from all this. Like a lot of the players, you know what I mean? Pro players back then, they were shielded from the social media aspect of it, which is the hate, like massive hate, right? If you wanted to hate on somebody, you'd have to actually see them to hate on them, not just be online, you know what I mean? And, you know, Bo Nickal, I feel like he's going to get the hate, and I don't know. I'm not going to say he deserves it, but it's part of the game, dude. It's part of what he's doing. Like it's like an actor, right? Or Hollywood actor or whatever. Like before you become an actor, you're like waiting tables. You know, you hear about all this shit, right? You're like waiting tables and you're trying to do auditions and shit. Like if during that struggle, right? If you're not realizing once you become a star that people are going to start following you around and hating on you and writing bad things about you, Like, that's what a fighter is. Well, fighter is the same thing. Like, you're an athlete, you're going to be a public figure. People are going to be hating on you. People are going to be mad at you. People are going to say things about you. Is it right? No, it's not right, but it's just part of the game, right? So with Bo Nickal coming into this fight, there was all this hype around him, and he's fighting this guy that's a 2-division champion, has only lost twice to a guy that was way bigger than him, which is Anatoly Malakin, for titles that were like he shouldn't be fighting for, right? He just got them because the divisions were kind of weak in one championship. Let's just be real. But yeah, he has a lot of more experience, a lot more, like experience in the spotlight. And, Bo Nickal just kind of, I think maybe he just crumbled in the spotlight, basically, right? He didn't expect RDR to fight like that. And RDR was way better than he expected. And then, he faced adversity, he lost, and now you just got to move on, right? The hate is going to come. I just think, like, it's wrong. Like, that dude, there's a video of a dude on Twitter. I don't even know his name, but he's just like
MMA Joey.
Yeah, it's weird, dude. Like, how do you hate somebody so much? Like, that's kind of like suspect, right? Like, how do you hate somebody so much that you're doing these videos about hating them? It's just like you said, it's toxic. Like, it's become like the MMA guru stuff. Like, he's hating on people and saying things that he would never say to their face, but he's online, right? So he can do it. But for Bo Nickal, I feel like this is part of the game. If he goes and starts saying, like, dude, Ronda Rousey, think of that, when she lost the title and lost for the first time. Look what happened to her, right? That's the biggest example. And she just kind of like went into her little shell. You didn't expect that to happen when you lose. Like, the more people that like you, there's more people hating on you, right? So with Bo Nickal, I still think he has potential. Is it good that he lost? I don't think it's good that anybody loses, right? It's never good to lose, but, it's a lesson, when they always say it's a lesson. So I feel like for him, it's a lesson. He needs to go back but I feel like he should kind of like accept the role now as a guy that's hated, because, that works for some people. If he's gonna do the John Jones thing where he's like, oh, now I'm flipped, now I'm not the guy that's talking shit, because I think a lot of that stems from him talking shit, right? I don't know, but me, I feel like it's a lesson, man, for him. If he comes back and loses again, there's gonna be more hate. So I feel just accept the hate and kind of like feed off the hate and use it to grow your brand as a fighter.
I completely agree with you. He went heel, stay heel. You know what I mean? It's just you can't flip flop in this game. And like you said, it's entertainment first and foremost before it comes to the fighting. Because at the end of the day, if you ain't talking shit, if you're not in the limelight, if there's no eyes on you before you fight, then no one's gonna want to watch you fight. Like, there's a lot of fighters in the UFC. Do you think people really know majority of them? If you're ain't a hardcore fan, there's no way like a person on the street's gonna know your name in the UFC. But no, you need to build your brand. You need to kind of sometimes talk your shit, because if not, you're just gonna be pushed aside. You're not gonna get the fights. You're not gonna get the money that you want to make. And Bo, in only like 3-4 fights in the UFC, he's making probably more than a lot of these other guys that are just coming in with the same amount of fights. You know what I mean? By a lot. And the reason being is because he has this massive following before making the transition. And then on top of it, he's growing his brand even more by talking shit. And sometimes you eat a little bit of that humble pie. And that's exactly kind of what happened. He crumbled in the face of adversity for the first time in his career. And it's up to him to kind of, correct those wrongs and kind of, get back after it. It was a phenomenal performance by RDR. He did exactly what he needed to do: pressure him, get in his face, do things that Bo's never been accustomed to his entire life. I don't think he's ever been pushed like that in the gym, no less in the fight. So RDR put the pace and the pressure on him, and he wilted within the first 5 minutes. But I noticed, like, you see him jump the ghillie. I feel like he got that from somebody in his gym. He just jumped the ghillie thinking he's going to get the ghillie on RDR, who's a jiu-jitsu black belt, a shit ton, of submissions on his resume, and for him to think that he was going to get that was kind of, I feel like, a low fight IQ thing, or in my understanding, maybe it was a thing where he was kind of just he panicked, right? And he kind of was gassing out, and he needed something to really kind of push towards that. And mind you, it was close. He was almost getting mount there, but RDR's savviness to use defense to make him to stay on the bottom was that was honestly very beautiful. And I think, you know, RDR's stock rose tremendously, and we could potentially see a future title challenger at some point from him too. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think he has the skill set to do it too. Like in that division, the middleweight division, you got a good mix of styles, which you don't really see in the other divisions, right? Like you got guys like RDR who can grapple, but he can also, you know, hang with the striking, and he has a chin too. Like that's the thing. He has a chin. He's not gonna just like get punched and just crumble. Like he'll take shots, and he'll take shots to get in. On did you see some of the shots that he took against Anatoly, who is a massive heavyweight? Like he took some shots against Anatoly and didn't get knocked out at first, right? Then eventually, like it was too much. But like RDR, I think he has a unique skill set. It's like Hamza, right? Hamza's not really a striker. He's not a one, you know, he's punched guys out with one shot. But I don't think he's like, when you get to the elite level, you're not going to do that. Like guys are too savvy. Guys are just too strong. Guys have like, they're not doing shitty weight cuts, you know what I mean, to where they're like depleted. RDR, I feel like he's dangerous for a lot of people. And I think we're going to start seeing a lot of guys not want to fight RDR. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying they're scared of him. I'm saying that they don't want to fight him because stylistically, it's not a good matchup. And when you're in that top 15, top 10, you don't want to take a terrible stylistic matchup and lose and then like get back, put back in the line, you know what I mean, for the next title shot. So there's going to be guys that are going to be offered. There's going to be guys that are offered RDR and they're not going to want to take the fight, and RDR is going to come out in the media. It goes back to like what Bo Nickal was doing. He was doing it right. He was saying things that was getting him in the media, that are getting people talking about him. Like it was growing his brand. RDR, he did the same thing with his call out too. Like he called out somebody that he knows he can beat. He sees weaknesses in Sean Strickland. Like he sees that Sean Strickland is going to come in and do his little jab and teep stuff, but he knows like, hey, if I get in there with him, I could probably go in there and take some of those shots, get clinched, get up in there tight clinch, and then get him to the ground and do something. Or maybe he knows that he could, you know, maybe Muay Thai him. Who knows? We've just seen him like knee Bo Nickal. And also RDR is massive, right? Bo Nickal looks small, wasn't he?
Oh, I was like, I didn't notice the size discrepancy until the fight time. I'm like, damn, this dude is fucking huge. I thought Bo, I'm like, was Bo like 5'8"? Like, because that's how big he was. I know RDR is 6'2", but like, I didn't notice like how big RDR is compared to Bo. I had no idea, and it showed massively the reach advantage. That step in knee, he was so out of range that Bo had no chance to even counter off that. You know, I mean, if he wanted to, those knees were deadly. The clinch work, it was really good, man. I mean, I guess we're comparing, you know, Bo Nickal to, you know, guys in the top 15 where he may not be yet, but regardless of, I mean, it was a great performance, top to bottom. He did everything he needed to do to get that win, and impressive fashion, and a lot of people were shocked, and me too. I honestly, I picked Bo. I thought he would be better on the feet, but he took those shots. He really did, because like he made Mearshart look like a Golden Gloves boxing champion in his first fight. You know, like GM3 looked phenomenal on the feet, and then he couldn't really even take him down. But then fast forward 2 fights, RDR looked fucking amazing in every aspect of that fight. Striking, grappling, clinch work, everything. And it's like, damn, man.
Well, I'm thinking that Bo is a welterweight. He might not be a middleweight. He's just been getting away with it, you know, first couple of fights in the UFC, but he might be a welterweight. You know what I mean? Because he did look so outsized, and maybe that also weighed on him too. Like just RDR's pressure, and then him just like in the clinch, you know what I mean? Like the dude's way stronger. You're using way more strength to kind of battle that, right? If you're not, he's going to put you on the floor. and then you're in big trouble, right? I thought Bo was going to be able to be faster and be able to like wrestle better, like chain wrestle, even though it might have been a boring fight. That's what I thought. I thought Bo was going to win as well. I thought he was going to go in there and maybe like use his boxing to, keep range. And then when he needs to wrestle, he's going to chain wrestle and escape positions. But he didn't do none of that. None of it.
None.
I just think he underestimated RDR like extremely, dude. And I feel like he's undersized. He should go to welterweight. I feel like welterweight is probably going to be a better fit for him. And then he's going to be the same size as everybody else, right? But I don't know, man. RDR, he beat Kevin Holland and he beat Bo Nickal. Kevin Holland is a welterweight, right? Yeah. And Bo Nickal looked really, really small, right, against him. So his next fight, we might even overhype RDR a little bit. In his next fight, he might not be as big compared to his opponent. Who knows, right? But for Bo, I think Bo really needs to reconsider like what division he's fighting in, because he just looks small.
Completely agree with you. I thought the same thing. I'm like, it literally looked like a middleweight versus a welterweight. That's how big of a difference there was. And I didn't know because I didn't see the the face-offs or anything like that. So I didn't think there's going to be this huge discrepancy in terms of height and strength and all that. I thought they were pretty much similar in size in terms of like built, and not even close. Not even close. It looked like Bo does cut a ton of weight to make 185. No. Meanwhile, RDR definitely cuts a shit ton of weight to make the 185 for sure, 100%.
And RDR is way more jacked too, like muscular wise. Like Bo's not really muscular, right? So you're thinking like, does even Bo do like strength and conditioning properly? There's a lot of questions now, right? Because he lost the way he did against an opponent that he was supposed to beat. It's like, should he be adding muscle? Or should he be going to a lower weight class? Like all these things are guaranteed that's going through his head too, right? That's what he has to battle now. This is the stuff that he has to battle as a fighter, right? All the doubt of like his preparations, his coaches, stuff like that. But I like this. This is why I watch fighting, dude, to see guys, lose. I don't want to see guys lose, but I'm saying like to see guys go through adversity and come back. And, the best of them done it. You know what I mean? Like we've seen the best of the best go through it, right? Like literally Brandon Moreno, you know what I mean? Like he gets cut, comes back, becomes a champion. There's a lot of guys, right? Dustin Poirier, he's lost a bunch of times in the UFC and come back and become a legend, right? Like Bo's just at his genesis. He's at the beginning of his career, and people are just already dumping on him. It's hilarious though at the same time to watch.
Yeah, I feel for him in a sense, but then in another way, you're kind of like, well, you kind of did it to yourself, the way you're talking about. Oh, you'd be like a minus 1,000 favorite if you fought Khamzat Chimaev. So it's like you really can't like be too like, oh, it's Bo. No, he kind of did it to himself at the same time, but. Everybody's going to get shit talked. Everybody's going to get praise. It's, 50-50. Could be more, hate than love for Bo. But, I feel like that his ceiling is still very high because he has that massive wrestling background. And I'm still expecting him to go out there, make the right adjustments, get with his team, figure out what's next. Because the moment he got a step up in competition, he wasn't able to really just kind of run through a guy. So, like you said, maybe the step down and weight will do him justice. We'll kind of maybe see that definition in his physique more as well. Because, like I said, I don't expect that he's cutting a ton of weight. It looks like he's cutting maybe 15, 20 pounds tops, maybe. And I feel like that's even a lot. Whereas you have other guys from 185 pounds, they're probably cutting from 225, 210, 215. He's probably only at like 200, 195, kind of cutting down to 185. But we'll kind of see where he goes from here. Let's talk about the main event: Cory Sandhagen, Deiveson Figueiredo. That was impressive by Cory. Cory absolutely dominated him. Start to finish. I think Figueiredo only landed 4 strikes in the entire those two rounds. Pure domination. Cory even said that he knew when he got that 50-50 position that if he wasn't going to sit back on it, he was going to blow his knee out, and that's exactly what happened. I thought it was phenomenal. What do you think of the the fight? How do you rate both of their performances, and where do you kind of see either of these two fighters going from here?
I feel like Figueiredo wasn't prepared properly. Himself and his coaches didn't prepare properly for that fight because they didn't even have a backup plan. Their backup plan was to wrestle, right? And then when you start wrestling, Cory's good everywhere, right? Like he's elite everywhere, and he's massive. There's another one, a mismatch in size as well. Figueiredo, he looks big, but then when you put him against another, like a real bantamweight, he doesn't look big at all, right? He looks kind of small. And and he tried to strike. Cory was just way too fast and way more crisp, right? In the striking. So he had to go to the wrestling. And then when he started wrestling, he get into positions where it's like Cory was way better than him. And it's almost like he didn't have option number 3. There was nothing else that he can do. And then he just continued to do the wrestling aspect of it, like grappling wise. And he thought he could out grapple him because he probably saw like Aljamain choke him out, which was like so long ago that it doesn't really matter anymore, that fight. But that position, right? One of his coaches is Ryan Hall, like someone that he trains with and coach is coached by. It's not like he just gets coached by. He trains with them. Ryan Hall's gym is called 50-50. That's his gym. He's the master at 50-50. Why is Figueiredo continually going into the 50-50 position, going for leg locks? It didn't make any sense, right? Like, what was he doing out there? Like, he doesn't know that Cory, like, you don't study, like his coaches don't study, like who coaches him. And also I noticed that he switched head coaches too. I don't know when he did that. Like, when did he start going with Trevor Whitman? Because he was with some other guy that was I feel like he was at High Elevation or one of he had a different head coach. This time he had Trevor Whitman as the head coach and Ryan Hall as the grappling coach. I think he has the best combination of coaches for him now. He's found his apex as an athlete. And Figueiredo, man, he's 37 years old. He's fighting in a weight class that he shouldn't probably be fighting in just because he can't cut weight properly, or he's, I don't know what he's doing, right? But it's not working. And he's 37 years old, right? There's not much you can do except for like learn from Volkanovski. Go to Volkanovski, join his team, and see what he's doing at his age to be able to compete at that level. Because Figueiredo's doing something wrong in his preparations, and that's all I think about that. I feel like Cory, I picked him to win that fight pretty easily, and that's what he did. He didn't even have to like submit him or knock him out. Like Figueiredo basically did it to himself.
He did, and that's why I was kind of like I was perplexed at the entire thing. It was a completely one-sided affair. I mean, I feel like a lot of people kind of knew that going in, but no one expected him to blow out his knee like an idiot in the second round. I mean, I thoroughly expected like a 50-45, a 50-43. I'm expecting domination, but for 25 minutes. You know what I mean? Pure domination for 25 minutes. I expected to go to a decision, but Cory gets a finish, very unlikely finish, but he gets a finish. So, kudos to him. But do we expect him to finally get his title shot? Like, I really don't know, because I feel he's deserving of it. I mean, what else does he have to do? Yeah, I know he lost to Umar, and yes, he lost to Jan, but at the same time, they both lost to the Sean O'Malley and Merab. So why give either of those two a rematch when Cory Sandhagen's new blood? I feel like he deserves to kind of get his shot at this point.
Well, he's won his last 3 out of 4, right? The last fight that he lost was the last one against Umar. And then the first fight of that 4 was against Song Yadong, where that fight ended due to a cut, right? So Song Yadong's out there on social media calling out Cory, let's do the rematch because, I lost due to a cut. But I feel like if I remember that fight right, Cory was piecing him up pretty bad, wasn't he?
Yeah, I was pretty one-sided in my opinion. I mean, that fight, he was going to go to the distance and Cory was going to win that either way. So I don't see that being a likely fight either. You know what I mean?
Unless like it's all about timing, right? It's all about timing. So let's say that the O'Malley and Merab fight happens. It doesn't matter who wins. If Merab wins, then O'Malley's in a crazy position, right? If O'Malley wins, do they do the rematch? That's the question, right? They're like it teeters on what's the result of that title fight, right? Because I don't think they're just gonna push Sandhagen in there. So it teeters on. So if the situation is O'Malley wins, then I think they put Sandhagen in there, right? Because they don't want Merab to fight O'Malley again. They're not going to do the immediate. I don't feel like they're going to do the immediate rematch. So like you put Sandhagen in there, but if Merab wins, it's. Do you put Sandhagen in there? Is that still like an option, right? Or do you have Merab fight somebody else? Like I still think like it all depends on the result of that title fight, and if something fishy happens, then you do the rematch against Song Yadong, right? Because I feel like the UFC wants to push their Chinese fighters as much as they can because there's not many of them, and they're doing massive TV deals in China because of Wei Li, because of Song Yadong, because of these Chinese contenders, right? So they might push it, Song Yadong versus Cory Sandhagen in Asia somewhere, probably in China. Who knows what the UFC has in plan? But yeah, I feel like Sandhagen should get a shot, man. He's been fighting the elite, right? And he's won his last 3 out of 4 against the best in the division. Why not? Why not give it to him, right? But it's a business too, like we gotta talk about that. We can't just talk about who deserves stuff. Because if we did, then there would be no business.
No, you're right, but it just sucks because like I feel if we're talking deserving, definitely Cory Sandhagen is the most deserving. I feel like at this point because even Jan is now going to be fighting Marcus McGee, which is kind of mind-boggling to me that they're not waiting to have Jan versus Umar when Umar is ready, because I know he's definitely not ready yet with that left hand. But they're having Jan versus McGee, which is kind of like a weird fight because, yes, I know McGee is surging. He's won, I believe, all of his fights in the UFC so far. But, like, there's other fights that he could have fought, and not a former champion that's coming off a win that still looks kind of in his prime, gunning towards a title fight. But if that's the case, that's what I've heard. I saw McGee versus Jan. Yeah, there was a room. I don't know if it's completely confirmed, but I saw Jan versus McGee in a fight on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Can't say
I think someone leaked that just on purpose, like on McGee's side, maybe. I think that's
maybe.
You know how this game works, man. There's people leaking information just to get matchups that they want, right? It could be management, it could be fighters, it could be coaches, it could be whatever, right? Because you could like just tell people stuff online, and then they'll just post it, and then they'll just get a bunch of retweets and likes, and people commenting like, "Oh yeah, that's an awesome fight," blah blah.
Yeah.
I saw Peter in Thailand like what was it, a few months back, right? He was training. He was doing that Russian tough show. So it was like Peter was there, Aljamain, there's a bunch of UFC fighters there, but Peter was there, and I would see him at the gym from time to time, and I would chat with him, and I would ask him like, "Yo, what's up?" Like, I think this was like even when Merab beat, who did he fight last? Merab. Umar, yeah, when he beat Umar, and he's just like, "Peter, what's up? Like, you gonna fight Umar?" Like, I would ask him because Peter's an interesting character when you meet him, dude. Like, he's like he just has this vibe of like he's cool, but like he's like stone cold. Like he's stone cold, but he's cool. But anyways, so I would see him like from time to time, so I would just chat shit with him, and yeah, he from what my chats with him is like he was looking at fighting for the title or somebody that's gonna lead him to the title.
Right.
That's why that surprises me. Like McGee, I love Marcus McGee. He's a sleeper guy. Like he's a guy that nobody really wants to fight because he can do everything right, and he just has crazy like finishing ability, which is a dangerous fight for anybody in that top 10, right? To take. Yeah. So like from my conversations with Peter when I saw him in Thailand was like he's gonna fight somebody that's gonna lead him to the title, or he's gonna fight for the title. That's what he was zeroed on. not just like, somebody that's like entering the top 15 or whatever, or top 10. So that's surprising to me, man.
Yeah, that's kind of my thought process too. I don't know if it's 100% real or not. Like that, it's just a fight that doesn't make sense for Peter's side of things, because he's still in the upper echelon. He still is top 5 elite, and I think he should be gunning for a title next. But
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel like, because like Merab wins, he's being pretty much everybody in the division at this point, other than Cory Sandhagen at the top of the division. So like, if Merab wins, I feel like it has to be Cory, but it doesn't really matter what we think, because it matters what's going to kind of put butts in seats, what's going to sell tickets, and that's all really the UFC gives a shit about. And that's why they put O'Malley versus Merab together again, because they know that's still going to sell tickets regardless of what happened, at the Sphere. It's going to sell tickets, and that's why they put it in New Jersey, because they needed a good headliner, and that is a good headliner for UFC 316. So I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I mean, segueing to this weekend, UFC 315 on tap. We have the welterweight title on tap. Belal Muhammad taking on Della and Maddalena, and then also the co-main event between Valentina Shevchenko and Manon Fiorot. I know I'm probably butchering that, but why don't you take what's your thought on the main event there? Who do you kind of have winning, and what do you kind of expect from it?
All right, so Belal, he's been underestimated for his whole run, right? Pretty much, like, people are just like picking against him, and now people are starting to kind of shift over, because he's become the champion, right? He shifted over and said like, yeah, Belal's legit now. I mean, he dominated Leon Edwards for the title, right? But the thing is, like, did he really dominate Leon Edwards in that fight? Because if you go back and watch that fight, was it like a clear, like, round 1 to round 5 where Belal was just destroying him? It wasn't, right? Like, I think people are remembering that wrong. Some people need to go back and watch that fight, right? There was certain rounds where Belal was dominating, right? But there were certain rounds that were very competitive, even though Leon wasn't looking like Leon. Leon looked like, I don't know, man. Leon looked like a better version of what he looked like against Sean Brady, right? Like, when he was fighting Sean Brady, he just looked like he was
bad.
done, right? Yeah, that was really bad. But yeah, like, I think people need to go back and watch that fight. That fight was a little bit more competitive than people thought, because they just remember Belal dumping Leon on his head a few times. But it wasn't like he was, completely mauling him, right? It was just like he won the fight, okay? And me, I was a guy that underestimated Leon as well, or not Leon, Belal. But now everybody's shifting over to Belal and thinking like, oh, he's him. Belal's even like out there saying like he wants to be the GOAT of the welterweight division. And hey, that's a goal that everybody should have. You should want to be the GOAT of your division. But then I look at Jack Della and think like, is Jack Della a much better version of Leon, but with power in his hands? So when you got power in your hands and you don't kick as much, does that help with the takedown defense? Because Belal's striking is okay, but it's not like Jack Della level, right? And Jack Della has that power where he'll like punch your head off, right? If he gets comfortable, he'll punch your head off, and his hands are quick enough to come back to where he can defend against takedowns. And he seems like he has the cardio, right? So I look at it like this. I think Jack Della could win this fight, but it'll be in the first 3 rounds. Like, he needs to like really defend well against the pressure of Belal and the wrestling of Belal. But if he doesn't, Belal can take over in the last couple of rounds. But then you look at the last fight against Leon. Leon arguably won the last round, the 5th round. So is Belal's gas tank really that good? I don't know. Like, it's very perplexing, this fight, right? Because I don't want to underestimate Belal, but at the same time, I think Jack Della has the skill set to beat Belal. Like, I think he can knock him out. I think he can like defend well against Belal, kind of, like in a shocking way. Like, oh my God, like what just happened? Like, he just sparked Belal. So I'm leaning towards Jack Della to win this fight, even though like I've underestimated Belal for like years now. But I'm thinking Jack Della might be the guy that goes in there and defends well against the takedowns. And you know, like I remember, I've followed Jack Della since he was on the regional scene. Like I used to do interviews with him, like I don't even know how many years ago when he was fighting an internal in Australia, like all the way up to him getting signed to the UFC. So yeah, I think Jack Della is gonna win this, man. I think like he's capable of winning this. But I don't know for sure, man. This is such a toss-up fight. Like, certain fights you think like, yeah, this is gonna, this is I think a lot of people probably think Belal that way, right? Like, hey, Belal's skill set is just too like well-rounded for Jack Della. But we'll see, man.
I'm just curious because all we've been hearing from Belal over these last, month or two is him talking about having Canelo hands, okay, and how he's going to, beat Jack at his own game, and he's going to outstrike him. He's going to make Jack want to grapple. That is fucking absurd, okay? And I'm not saying he can't compete with Jack on the feet. He absolutely can. But for him to go out there and say he's going to beat Jack at his own game, I think that's just blasphemy. If you're not going to shoot takedowns and actually mixing the takedowns, then you're just no way you're going out there and you're going to outstrike him for 25 minutes and not get cracked. I mean, he's got power, he's got dynamite, and he's been working relentlessly with Alexander Volkanovski and his team over there. He's getting in his grappling with Craig Jones as well to help kind of, get the switches, the reversals to kind of get back to his feet. It's like, at first I was kind of leaning towards Belal, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, he's definitely going to dominate on the mat. And then I'm hearing this dude talk recklessly about he's going to go out there and just beat him at his own game. I'm like, that's no good. And then I feel like I'm just kind of piecing things together, right? Islam wants to move up to welterweight. Okay. Islam will not move up to welterweight unless Belal loses the title. So now we're getting into this thing where, okay, Belal loses, doing stupid shit like what he's talking about. Then we get Islam moving up to fight Jack Della Maddalena for the 170-pound title in Australia, because that's what they're talking about. And now that's a pay-per-view event. But now if Jack loses, that pay-per-view event becomes now a fight night event in Australia. So there's so many moving pieces that needs to happen after this fight is over. Because now we're looking at, okay, International Fight Week. What's that going to look like, right? So we have Islam in fight camp. We have Ilya in fight camp. We have Charles Oliveira in fight camp. So those three are kind of in limbo looking at this fight to see, okay, what's going on, right? I feel Belal loses, we got Islam versus Jack next. I think that's kind of a no-brainer. Even if Ian Gary's the backup, no one really gives a shit about that. Islam is definitely moving up to 170. He's going to go for the champ status. And then we got Ilya versus Charles, potentially headlining International Fight Week for the interim lightweight title. And then that's where it's going to happen. Or Belal wins, defends his title. Then we are getting Islam versus Ilya for the undisputed title in International Fight Week. That's my kind of thought process as how this is kind of unfolding. Because we're still, we're only a month and a half away, maybe like 8 weeks or so from International Fight Week. We need some type of confirmation as to what the fuck is happening on the biggest, fight event of the year. So, what do you think about that and that whole kind of carousel of, lightweight, welterweight, and how that's going to kind of come down to it over the next couple of weeks?
Dude, it's a complete clusterfuck of like moving pieces. Like it's just, but it doesn't have anything to do with the actual fight. I don't, like with Belal, right? I think him saying all these things, he understands how to like work the media, and that's what he's doing. Yeah. I feel like with all the stuff that he's saying, like I got Canelo hands. I don't think he's gonna change his style one bit against Jack Della, right? One bit. But the thing is, like you mentioned, like Jack Della is working with Craig Jones, who helped Alex Volkanovski prepare for Islam and did really well in the first fight when he had actually time to prepare. right? For
Right.
the defensive wrestling. Craig Jones, right? And then he worked with Frank Hickman, who is Alex Volkanovski's wrestling coach, right? So that combination, Jack Della was working with to prepare for Belal, right? At some capacity. And I feel like that's going to help Jack Della extremely. Like I look at that, right? And if Belal goes out there to entertain and not defend the title successfully, then he's done. Like dude, if he loses the title fight, I don't think he's ever going to fight for the title again. Like he needs to understand, like he needs to win as many title fights as possible to make as much money as possible. If that's what his goal is. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's part of why he fights, right? And all the moving pieces, if that affects Belal more than Jack Della, I think that pressure is on more on Belal than Jack Della, if that even affects Belal in any capacity, right? Because if he wins, it's not like they're gonna pressure him to fight Islam, or are they behind the scenes? I think Islam will fight Belal.
You think?
I think so. I think that some things are just being said. But I think Islam will fight Belal. They're not from the same team, right? Yeah, he's trained with them and he's gone over there, but they're not from the same. They're not family, dude. Like those Dagestanis, they're family, dude. Like the people that are involved, they're really family, right? Umar, Usman, Habib, Islam. Like all of those guys are intertwined somehow as family, right? They've been training together since they were kids. Like that's a family. Like Belal going in there a few camps ago and training with them, I don't know. I think Islam goes up no matter what. I think that's what's going to happen. But the bigger fight, is Jack Della back in Perth, the location where Alex Volkanovski fought Islam. Islam goes back there and fights for the welterweight title. Because the thing is, he'll go anywhere to fight for the welterweight title, right? So it doesn't matter if it's in Perth or not. So he's done it before. So he's going to go there. But it's interesting, dude. Like I enjoy it, dude, but it doesn't really have anything to do with the welterweight fight in the fight, right? But mentally, I wonder where Belal is at, right? Like, because Jack Della just needs to win the title. That's all that's mine. It doesn't matter what's happening after that because he'll be the champion, right? For Belal, it's different. He loses, he's in this position. If he wins, he's in this position. And maybe Islam told Belal, like, it doesn't matter that you win. I'm going to fight you anyways. That could mess with his head too.
Man, it's very interesting. And then, you know, like you were saying, how Jack has been training with Hickman and Craig Jones and that. And before he got the call to fight Belal, he was already getting ready for a grappler in Sean Brady. So he didn't have to change a damn thing. So everything is just exactly the same, going from one grappler to another, except Sean Brady's to me, better grappler than Belal is, a lot better. So now you're going against a guy who's a lesser of a grappler, and you're a better striker than both of them. So as long as you can keep this shit on the feet, it's anybody's fight. And now
there's a fight I want to see is Ian Gary versus Sean Brady. That fight's gonna happen. I don't think none of those guys. I don't think either guy is gonna fight for the title next. I don't think that's
no, definitely not. I don't think either one of them do. And I want that fight. I would love to see Ian Gary versus Sean Brady. I think that's a phenomenal fight. The only way Ian Gary gets kind of into the mix is if one of these two get hurt before the fight this weekend. Other than that, he's kind of shit out of luck because even next, he's definitely not winning. He's not going in and fighting for the title over Shavkat if he's available. If that is the next thing, right? Like if Belal wins, I can see the Shavkat fight happening, and there's no way that Gary's going over Shavkat for a title shot. And then if Jack wins, Islam is 100% jumping the line. No one gives a fuck about Shavkat at that point. Shavkat's pushed to the side. Islam's going in there, and he's gonna fight for the title. And
everybody's funny. It's because
because he keeps getting injured. You know, every time he's ready to fight, and then someone gets either he gets injured or someone else gets injured, and then he kind of gets pushed aside. Everybody kind of forgets all about him. You know what I mean? And welterweight is kind of stacked, and I feel like there's not going to be a dominant champion at 170 pounds, and not for a while. There's no one that's dominant enough Even Shavkat, I don't think he's dominant enough to beat the title. Even if he does win the title, let's say, for him to keep it for a long period of time. We thought he was a boogeyman. We thought, there's no one that could beat him. And then Ian Gary kind of showed like, okay, like there's people that could compete against him. Mm-hmm. Even Ian Gary, who's very good. But now I don't think he's like the best at 170 pounds. You know what I mean?
But he just wins. Like that's
right.
Another thing that you got to understand about Ian Gary's like he's not the most exciting. And Luke Thomas did a great video about this. I don't know if you watched it, about like the modern era fighter like Ian Gary, where they just do enough to win. Like they make the adjustments to win. They have the game plan to go in there and they don't deviate from it unless they necessarily have to. But like Ian Gary, he's just gonna win, even though you might hate him and he's like cringy to a lot of people, but he's gonna do what he needs to do to win. He did it in the protest fight, right? He just had a game plan, he stuck to it, and it worked. But that's a dangerous style to have, because like if you're 25 minutes against a dangerous finisher, and someone that has a really good gas tank, because Ian Gary looked like he was gassed from that type of game plan at the end, and Protest could have won that fight. If it was the wrong ref, like they would have stopped that fight.
Oh, right.
Yeah. But he didn't. He allowed them to fight. So like that welterweight division, man, it's interesting, dude. Like there's a lot of contenders for the title. Let's just say that. Like they can fight at any moment.
Right. And then anybody can lose at any moment in that division. I don't think anybody is going to be holding that belt for a very long time. I think Belal is, if he doesn't lose it this weekend, he will lose it over his next one or two more fights after this. I don't expect him to be a long-standing champion. He could prove me wrong, but I just don't think he's as dominant as people say that he is. But we'll see where it goes from there. But then we're talking about the co-main event for the flyweight championship. Valentina is coming in as an underdog against Manon Fiorot. That's very surprising to me. I know Fiorot she's been dominant. She's been looking great, but she's not yet faced anybody on the caliber of Valentina. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that fight.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? You look at Manon, like they try to like make her look like she's just this killer like knockout artist. But she's not, dude. Like, look, her last 5 fights are all decisions.
Right.
Against girls that she should have finished. Right? Like, Rose
was a split, wasn't it? Rose was a split decision, right?
No, it was unanimous. They're all unanimous decisions.
Okay.
But, like, the only time she finished somebody was against Tabitha Ritchie, which was Ritchie's debut at a weight class above. Right? And that wasn't even, like, and that was a standing TKO. That wasn't even like she dropped her and like finished her, right? Like they just stopped the fight because the referee had enough and saw enough, right? But it was a smaller girl. So do you expect her to? Yeah. Do you expect her to go in there and do the same thing to Valentina? Do you think Valentina is a better striker, or Manon is a better striker than Valentina? Does she have more power than Valentina? I don't know. I think like a lot of the times we drink the Kool-Aid of like highlight reels, which her highlight reel, of course, there's a lot of it of her landing heavy strikes, but it's not fight-ending strikes. We've seen Valentina knock girls out cold, take girls to the ground, and ground and pound finish them, submit them. People forget about the Juliana Pena's armbar, right? Like Juliana Pena is the champion at 135 right now, and Valentina armbarred her, right? I mean, it's not the same time, like that was a long time ago, but still, like it just shows you that Valentina is high level. I don't understand. Like I would put all my money on Valentina. Like I would put everything on Valentina by decision. Right. I think this is going to be a long drawn out fight. I feel like Valentina, she's getting older, so she's getting a little bit smarter with like risk taking. Right. But if she sees blood, she's going to go after it. Right. If she sees blood. But I think Manon's tough enough to handle all of that, and her striking is good enough. If you look at the Erin Blanchfield fight, dude, Erin Blanchfield's striking is not very good, but she was landing on Manon. Like there's clips of Erin Blanchfield rushing in and Manon not defending very well against her striking, which was very sloppy. right? But she was still landing, so it's not sloppy. It's just her style. Yeah, it's weird, right? Like, wow, dude, I think you need to put your money right now before the line shifts, because people are going to start throwing a lot on Valentina, and Valentina could wrestle too, and she has good clinch. Like, she could throw people around in the clinch. That's another interesting aspect of it too. Is like, when they get into the clinch, will Valentina be strong enough to like put her to the ground, right? Because that's how she usually puts her opponents to the ground, right? With the Jessica Andrade fight, you know, and she kind of like got her into the clinch, tossed her. There's a bunch of other girls that she tossed, right? Like hip toss, like judo style. And I think that this will be something that Valentina will utilize in this fight against Manon, unless Manon's able to defend, and then it would just be a straight up striking battle. And if it is, I still give it to Valentina, right? But will age catch up to Valentina? She's 37, but Manon's 35. Not too much of a difference, right? So I'm still gonna go with Valentina, man. I don't understand why she's the underdog.
Before I go into any more detail of this fight, I have to throw a disclaimer out there. Please gamble responsibly. Do not bet more than 1 to 3% of your bankroll that you could afford to lose. We just have to kind of throw that little disclaimer out there here on the RG MMA show. But moving forward, yes, I completely agree with you. It's kind of perplexed to me that there's so much love, and mind you, the money's been steadily increasing on Manon. So I don't expect money to really come in that much to where Valentina's gonna become the favorite. I think she's gonna stay the underdog in this spot. She really hasn't blown anyone out of the water in her striking, and she is a striker by trade. And now she's going against the best pure striker in the division, and Valentina. If she's never fought anybody in the entire division as skilled as Valentina in the striking. I mean, she hasn't even fought Alexa Grasso either. So, I mean, she hasn't even fought someone like Natalia Silva either, who's a very good striker. I mean, there's so many other good strikers that she just hasn't fought. And then now she's not a big favorite, but a moderate favorite over the champion, the two-time champion, who's fought the best of the best. She fought against Amanda Nunes, who some would argue that she beat in the second time. First time, definitely she lost, but you could argue that she might have beat Nunes in the second fight. And as a favorite, it's just kind of crazy to me because it's going to be a fight that's definitely going 25 minutes, right? I can't see them either getting finished. I think Manon has had very, very good takedown defense from what I've seen. Erin Blanchfield couldn't take her down. Rose had trouble taking her down, but Rose had moments on the feet against Manon, right? She looked good on the feet. So if she looked good, I mean, I think Valentina can also look very good unless, like you said, Father Time is really undefeated. I just don't see where this fight is going to be an absolute blowout for Manon to get this win. That she should be, the favorite in this matchup. It kind of just throws me off a little bit. I don't know what people are seeing to where they're going to want to slam, Manon in this spot. It's just weird to me, Yeah,
when you look at Valentina's last three fights, right? I think that's what they're looking at. They're looking at her last three fights against Grasso. So the first fight she lost by rear naked choke in the fourth round, which that skill set that Grasso has, Manon does not have that skill set. So I don't see Manon being able to let's go to the ground and go for submissions. No, Grasso had that skill set, right? Grasso had a chin with like a tight boxing style where she can kind of compete a little bit in the stand-up. And then she had the ground game, right? Which, opportune time where, Valentina spun and she jumped on her back and choked her out, right? The second fight, it was a split draw. I feel like a lot of people thought Valentina won that fight. And the third fight, it was a unanimous decision. People probably think okay, she's kind of on the down slope of her career. And that could possibly be true, right? But skill for skill, I don't see why she's not, it doesn't make any sense to me. If it becomes a striking battle, Valentina is so experienced and she knows how to adapt so well to where she can just kind of stay in her zone in her pockets and strike and land and kind of be very defensive. When's the last time you've seen Valentina bruised up and beat up on the face?
Never.
Not really. Yeah, it's like I don't think we've ever seen that, right? So
No.
I don't know if Manon's going to be the one to do it, but maybe they know something about Valentina that we don't. Maybe she's injured. Maybe someone sneaked some info. She's injured and she's rehabbing something, and because we don't get. I don't even know where Valentina's training for this fight.
She's been all over the place from what I've seen from her posts. She's kind of training all over the world at this point, getting a little work in here, getting a little work in there. I think she's been in Canada for a little bit now, training. I don't know, God knows where, but she's been all over the place. So she doesn't really have this. She has the same coach, obviously, but she doesn't have a set gym where she just trains with. So it's kind of hard to really tell like what kind of work she's getting in, and there's so many.
You're right. She's like that, but that's just her lifestyle, right? That's what she's been doing her whole career. She's been jumping up here for, and then she does kind of like the last part, like last month or so, in the location where the fights are happening, and she kind of stays there if she can. From what I know, like I've known people that've been part of her camps before, like going in there, like she recruited them to come in to help her, like wherever they're doing the camps, dude, she goes hard, man. Like I know guys that did camps with her, and these dudes told me that they got their asses beat by Valentina. Like these are dudes, right? Like she doesn't hold back. She pays people to come in to really go after it, right? She doesn't go light, and she's never underprepared, right? She's always fully prepared. So I don't think she's gonna be lacking in preparation. Manon just needs to have the best fight of her life to beat Valentina. I just don't think that's going to happen. Like you said, her striking is not like she's beat who? Rose, who was a strawweight that came up. Ricci, that's the last person she stopped, who was the strawweight that came up last minute, right? Short notice. And then the rest of them, like she couldn't even finish Chookagian. Like I felt like that fight would have been the fight that she was able to finish somebody. She didn't finish Chookagian, right? So it'll be a shock if she knocks out Valentina.
Agreed, 100%. I can't see her stopping. I mean, of all the people that she's fought, and she stops her, is just. I mean, kudos if it happens, but I feel like it will be kind of like so far fetched that I can't fathom that happening ever. You know what I mean?
Not in women's MMA, especially, right?
No. I mean, like maybe
if it was a submission artist, yes. Yeah. But like knockouts, if you're not Amanda Nunes or Chris Cyborg or somebody like that, it's just like it's unfathomable, right? But then we saw Leon Edwards head kick Kamaru Usman in the 5th round after being dominated for 4 rounds. So like, I don't know, man.
That hurt my soul, bro. Because I had Kamaru by decision, and then I look away, and then I look back, I see Kamaru dead on the floor. I'm like, oh my god. I'm like, this is not good. I'm like, this is not fun. I'm like, but that's the unpredictability of the fight game. Anything could happen at any given time. One split second, you slip on banana peel, you take a head kick to the dome, and then you're done. But it is what it is. Is there any other fight on this fight card that's kind of intriguing you by any chance? Because like other than the top 2 fights, I feel this card is very, very lackluster.
Well, there's some like contender fights where the top 15 fighters are fighting, but I think, it's not the most stacked when you look at it. Like there's a couple changing of the guard fights where it's like Jasmine versus Jessica Andrade. That's kind of like a changing of the guard. Is Jasmine ready for that level? I feel like Jasmine, I think she wins that fight. I don't know. Andrade hasn't looked like herself for a while in the last couple, right? And Jessica's so much taller and she's tough enough, I think, where the thing is like, if she gets hit too many times, Jessica Andrade can knock anybody out. We've seen it. But I think she's going to be able to maul her, right? Get close, tight, wrestle. And we've seen Jessica Andrade get wrestled, out wrestled many
Oh, yeah.
times. So
Yeah.
so I think that's a fight that I'm interested to see like how Jasmine handles Jessica Andrade, because that's a big fight for her and it's a big fight for the division at what is it, flyweight, and that could probably position her into like a really good spot, right, for a contender fight, like a title elimination fight or something like that. I'm just interested to see Jose Aldo fighting Amin Zahabi. I like Amin Zahabi in that fight. I think Jose's maybe just fighting for the money and just for fun. Like he's just like he's not fighting I don't think his mentality is like I'm gonna fight for the belt. It's his mentality is like I'm fighting for fun at the highest level against the best guys, and I'm getting paid to do it. And he's probably getting paid a lot. So it's like every time he goes out there, he's just doing really, So it's like Amin Zahabi's like fighting to go for the title. Like those are two different mentalities, right? So I want to see how that clashes. And Amin, dude, he surprised everybody. Like he's not young either. I think he's 38. Yeah, I think he's like 38 years old. Damn. He's 37, right? And he's like on a surge, which is like very rare at bantamweight. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, outside of the top two, this is not the most stacked card, but I feel like we're going to get some crazy highlights though.
I'm hoping. I mean, the thing is, it's Canada. I feel like they hardly ever stack a Canada card because they have to put a bunch of Canadians in. Nothing against Canadians. They don't have the best track record, in the UFC, because I feel like the last time they went there, the men on the Canadian card, they all lost. Every single one.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Jasmine's the only one that won.
Yeah,
Vancouver, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think the men went 0-7 or something like that, and Jasmine was the only one that got the dub. Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, there's how many Canadians are there? There's Mike Malott, Marc-Andre Barlard, Brad Katona, Amin Zahabi. So those are all the men fighting, and then there's Jasmine, and then there's a bunch of other fights that are kind of like filler fights. Navajo Sterling's fighting. I'm interested to see like what he can do against Ivan Arslan. Bukauskas versus Kutalaba. That's going to be one of those knockout fights. Like someone's getting knocked out in that one, right?
Yeah, I want to see how well Bukauskas does against Kutalaba in that fight, because he's surging right now, 2-fight win streak. He's been looking really good. There's be 3 wins in a row for him if he gets it done, and against a very kind of scary opponent, as people would kind of say. Yeah, so I think that would be a good fight for him too if he gets the win. He's been looking good. I'm looking forward to that one.
Yeah, I think the first fight of the night is Daniel Santos versus Jung-Yeon Lee. Those guys are gonna bang it out. I think these are a lot of those.
I like Jung-Yeon Lee there, and I like Jung-Yeon Lee in that fight. Santos taking the fight up a weight class on about a week's notice in another country, no less. He's going from Brazil all the way to Canada on a week's notice, up at 145 because he can't make 135 anymore. He's going to be super undersized against Jung-Yeon Lee, who's pretty big for 145 too. I think he's like almost 6 feet tall if he's not 6 feet tall. So I'm looking forward to him. He's an underdog in that spot too. So there's gonna be a lot of finishes. I think it's not the biggest name value. Yeah, but the matchups like on the prelims, I think that there will be some highlights. There will be some finishes, and then people are gonna not be watching, so they're gonna be like, oh. Yeah, no. And then you have Bruno Silva taking on Marc-Andre Barrio. I think that's going to be I can't see how that doesn't get finished. Both dudes are going to be slinging leather from the get-go. So, I mean, like, they have some good bangers, not name value. It just for a pay-per-view, you want to kind of see a little bit more. But then again, we'd also lost Joel Alvarez versus Benoit Saint-Denis. But I heard they're still trying to get a short notice opponent for Saint Denis, so we'll kind of see.
Oh, he did get one. He got Kyle Purpelek. Yeah, I just saw that.
Oh,
Kyle Purpelek, the Canadian.
Oh, snap! I did not just see that. I guess I'm behind on the loop here. That's a kudos to Kyle to come back to the UFC. I'm happy for him. He's been working his way back. He's been doing well in the regional scene. He was getting ready for a fight. So I guess he was kind of ready to go, and he got the call. That's great. Great to hear. I'm happy for that.
from Gamrot's tweet, he said that he offered to step in, but Saint Denis denied that fight, which is like
no way he's gonna take Gamrot on short notice. There's 0% chance.
Yeah.
That's he's coming off 2 bad losses. He does not want to go against Gamrot on short notice and have to wrestle. No, there's no chance because Gamrot is I think he's one of the best guys at 155 pounds to fight on short notice. That dude is always ready to fight, and he can go 25 minutes on days' notice to fight and wrestle.
Oh shit! Grasso's fighting Natalia Silva, which is interesting fight.
That's a good fight, and Silva is actually a sizable favorite over Grasso too.
Yeah, that's Grasso needs to be able to. Silva's just like this long distance karate style fighter, right? With a lot of front kicks and side kicks. She's like she's like Shauna Bannon, but like on steroids. You know what I mean? Like the style.
Yeah. Her kicks are very deadly. A lot of spinning attacks. She's super quick, twitchy with her movement. I'm expecting her to look very well against Alexa in that fight, honestly. I think Alexa's I know she's still at the best, but I feel like she's kind of on the decline. She's not in her peak anymore. She's not in her prime. And I feel like Natalia, this is the kind of coming out party.
Yeah, I agree. With Valentina and Manon, I think what we forgot to talk about was like if Valentina wins, I think Wei Li steps up and fights Valentina. I think that's that fight that they want to happen.
Really? I mean, who else if Valentina wins? At this point, that's really gonna kind of move the needle. So that kind of makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that it's perfect timing. Like Valentina's up there in age, like she has. I don't think she has many fights left, and they gotta do it when she's actually holding the title. Because Manon Fiorot versus Wei Li doesn't sound too good. Manon Fiorot versus Natalia Silva. Let's say she wins, that doesn't sound too good either, right? So they gotta, for that division to kind of like hold on to a little bit more prestige.
Yeah,
they need to do Wei Li versus Valentina, and I think that's why they haven't announced anything for Wei Li, because that's what they're waiting on.
There's so many moving parts with this weekend's fight. There's so many moving parts. We still have yet no international fight. We like you said, Wei Li's still kind of waiting in the wings because she's beating everybody 115 pounds. There's no competition for her there. Yeah, she's gonna be undersized at 125, but you kind of need to give it to her because she's beating everybody at 115, regardless of size or not. She's deserving of it. She deserves to be a double champ status too. So we'll kind of see where it goes from here. But I'm excited for UFC 315. Should be exciting fight card, top to bottom. Get some good fights. Co-main, main event, titles on the line. Two fights that should go 25 minutes. Hopefully, it will not be falling asleep between these two fights, but we'll kind of see because I'm an old man and fights, ending at 2 a.m. No bueno for me here. But we'll kind of see if I can stay up.
I'm in the perfect area, dude. Like I wake up to fights, so like
you're beyond lucky. I can't deal with 2 a.m. fight times are over because then like. I'm not getting to bed until like 3:30 in the morning.
That messes up everything. Dude.
And then I wake up at like 7 o'clock in the morning the next day. So it's like my Sundays are shot. It's just, it's not a good time.
The only time it's bad for me is like when they have Europe cards or like Abu Dhabi cards, then it's just like 12 p.m. prelims. So it's like, I still try to like stay up and watch, but really it sucks. But whenever they're in like North America, Brazil, or anything like that, which most cards are, like I wake up at like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. The fights are already on. Like main card starts at 10 a.m., which is like so good.
That's perfect, man. I love those early cards where I wake up, get a cup of coffee, and then we got fights on, and then fights are over by like 1, 2 p.m. and then the rest of my day is open. You know what I mean?
For sure.
It's the best. But yeah, man, I appreciate it. I know we're a little over time here, but I appreciate you being here for our second episode of the RG MMA Show. But before I let you go, I want to know if you have messages out there for people that kind of support you, where people can find you, all that good stuff. Before I let you go.
Yeah, anybody that wants to follow me, you can follow me on all platforms: Instagram, X, Facebook, or whatever, at Korean John _ or just type in Korean John. I'm pretty sure you'll see who it is. Just follow me. I put out my picks for every show, usually for PFL, Karate Combat, and the UFC. Sometimes I'll do like one championship as well. Even Ryzen. I'm watching fights all the time. So like last week was crazy because it started off with PFL, and then it was Karate Combat, and then one championship, and then the UFC, and then it ended on Sunday with Ryzen. So there was just like, it can be exhausting, you know what I mean? But if I have time, if I'm at home, I'm watching fights all the time. So yeah, just follow me and keep supporting, and just keep commenting.
All right, man. I appreciate it. You have a good one. We'll speak soon.